I'd like to welcome everyone to the special council meeting and thank you for your patience. There's a couple of items that we need to get through here, kind of matter of some pressing matters, and we'll get to them when we get to them. So at this point, are there any disclosures of pecuniary or conflict of interest? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, well, obviously there's just two items on the agenda, so hopefully nobody wants to change anything on the items on the agenda. I do not have any notes. I don't know if there are resolutions that have been sent out, but at this point, and I don't know which item is first. So we're gonna, who's got the first? Does anybody have the first item?
So the first request to address items on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, there's no one that contacted me today, nor is there anybody in the audience. So we're clear there. The next item of business is with respect to the director's report on the bylaw to remove part lot control for block 47.
So then I'm going to go to Director Brian Treble to give an explanation, or should we?
The resolution is with Councillor Bradrick.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Councillor Bradrick, go ahead.
Moved by myself, Shelley Bradrick, that report PD-38-2021 regarding recommendation report renewal of bylaw to remove part lot control from block 47 of plan 30M-446 brackets Old Town Gateway Estates Plan of Subdivision Rosemount Homes condominium dated March 30th, 2021 be received, and that a bylaw be passed to lift part lot control on lands described as block 47 of plan 30M-446 in accordance with the attached reference plan to create 63 condominium lots and a common element, and that staff be authorized to have the bylaw registered at the Land Registry Office.
Thank you, Councillor Bradrick. Can I get a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Riley. I'm going to go. I think this is the typical, but I think for the purposes of Councillor Bradrick, maybe Director, you could kind of just give us a little bit of an update, and especially if there's anything new.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I can just give a really quick update, and I guess first apologize for the need for a special council meeting, but I do appreciate, and I know Mr. Chiarelli from Rosemount Homes appreciates as well the opportunity to correct this issue. Rosemount Homes is building the condominium development behind the Mars Homes development on the Dunnville Spur lands. And they had condo registration occurred about a month ago now. And subsequent to condo registration, they registered a part lot control bylaw that council had passed back in 2019. Neither the township lawyer nor the lawyer for Rosemount Homes caught the fact that the bylaw had expired. We only ever attach a one-year timeline to a part lot control bylaw because it's quite a powerful tool. So they were in the process of starting to sell the individual condominium units, and it was a purchaser's lawyer who caught the fact that the bylaw had expired, and the bylaw needs to be in full force and effect for the entire length of time that they're trying to sell the units in here. So there's 60 some units that will need to sell, and there's 15 of them scheduled to close before the end of March. So the request was to assist if we could in allowing for closings. Mr. Chiarelli has kind of been wading his way through COVID, and I think that's part of the reason why they missed the window, or at least partly missed the window. They now are aware of the fact that our bylaws expire in a year, and I indicated that I wasn't prepared to change the timeline of this bylaw. So if in a year's time all 63 units are not registered, they'll be back asking for a renewal of this bylaw if council agrees to pass it tonight. But for the time being, this is just to assist them with closings, and because of a situation that was not caught by legal counsel for either us or the applicant.
Okay, thank you, Director. Any comments or questions?
I have it.
Go ahead, sir.
I have something. Thank you. Yeah, I was surprised to see that we have this special council agenda tonight. And then when I look at it, because I've gone through some rough times the last little while. I've had major surgery less than a week ago, and I'm still very much recuperating from it. And as everybody knows, developers are my nemesis, and approving this just fills their pockets, and that's what they're waiting for. So in a way, it's I don't want it to assume that there's a weak moment because I'm in a weak physical state right now. I'm mainly here for the second part of this. However, because there has been a bylaw on this already, it's already gone through the process, and normally it gets reviewed in a normal situation, which I thought would have been last week or the week before. But since it was missed, it was already a done deal anyways. So we will proceed. I will proceed with this as it's down here. It's just unfortunate that this got missed, and we have to have a special meeting for it because normally these things get. I see these quite often, but I don't recall seeing them very often where they get missed like this. But I guess those things do happen. So, anyways, that's all my comments for tonight.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Any others? Councillor Treble, or sorry, Director Treble, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, just to make it clear, this came to the attention of staff last Wednesday. So it came to attention of staff after council had already held their special council meeting. So there was no chance to deal with it at last council, and waiting till next council is quite a severe punishment. So.
All right. Thank you for that explanation. Okay, you want to rebut again? Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Yeah. There was no way I reflected against staff because it was
Okay.
quite clear that staff did not know this. In fact, as Brian said, even the lawyers for our township didn't know this. But the
Okay.
other parties did catch it, and I guess it's lucky for them that they caught it. But it just seems rather unusual that it went this way. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, then I'm going to call the question. All those in favor, raise your hand. There we go. And that's carried, Madam Clerk. And we move on. Madam Clerk, could you just tell me who has the next one unless, Councillor Ganand, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Moved by myself that report PD-39-21 regarding Ontario Regulation 345-20 temporary use bylaws for patios for 2021 dated March 30th, 2021 be received. And two, that the Council of the Township of West Lincoln hereby approve a blanket resolution of support in respect to the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario Regulation 719 of the Liquor License Act for such licensed establishments to open and operate patios temporarily, and includes extending patios for the duration of 2021. Three, that the attached draft bylaw be passed to implement a temporary zoning exception for outdoor patios when approved by the CBO and fire chief for the 2021 patio season. And four, that the temporary use bylaw expire on December 31st, 2021.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Riley will second that. Any comments or questions or any comments you would like to open with, Brian?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, just really quickly, I guess this issue came to light actually on the day of the last council meeting when it was brought to our attention that the Legion, for one, was asking about the possibility of opening up a patio. And of course, we've had some very nice weather, very unusual weather for March, which I think has sort of stimulated the people to start thinking about outdoor patios. Subsequent to that, Lackey's and Touchdown Willie's have also asked about the possibility of outdoor patios. And since we were having the council meeting tonight, it seemed appropriate to try and deal with this to assist the restaurant industry, who is suffering immensely under the current situation. So this provides an opportunity, and it's one small gesture I think that the township can do to assist the restaurant industry. So staff recommend approval based on that.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? I think I saw Councillor Rayner, then we'll go to Councillor Jonker, then Councillor Riley. Councillor Rayner.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is the right thing to do. These people are really suffering, and I watch the Hamilton news every night. It's a wonder there's any restaurants left in Hamilton that are going to survive all this, because they just flip back and forth all the time. They don't know if they're coming or going. One gentleman was on last night, said that he got the go-ahead a week ago, so his freezer is all full of food, and he said, what am I supposed to do with it all? I was based on filling up the rooms and selling it. So the government has really messed these people up, and if there's anything we can do at the lowest level of government to help out mess that the bigger level of government is causing, then I would be glad to participate. And it's nice we can do something. And the weather is starting to improve, and I'm sure it's going to get people out and help these people because they surely need it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jonker.
Yeah, I was just gonna say basically the same thing there as Councillor Rayner. So just good to see that we can do something to help these businesses. The local businesses are definitely suffering when it comes to this, and just good to see this. And hopefully they can use their patio till December 31st, 2021. Just seeing that at the end there. So that's good. No, I just wanted to say good on staff to put this in this meeting, get it started and get that for them. So good.
Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this is the least we can do. You know, as all the businesses in town have been impacted by the pandemic, you know, having some of the restaurants reach out to me as well personally, and you know, share some of the, you know, the struggles they have, whether it's stocking, staffing, you name it, they've experienced it. You know, I think this is one of those things that it would have been nice to kind of have already. And one of the questions I have to you, Mr. Mayor, to our Director of Planning is it possible under, I guess, the section 4 of the motion to maybe not necessarily put a date, but maybe we can make it reference to the maybe the end of the emergency order? Like, I'm just wondering if we're going to be revisiting this again in 2022, and if we'd be best to help them by removing a specific end date and make it more reflective to the end of the pandemic or whatever that looks like. Because, you know, all the businesses have been, you know, tragically impacted, and if we can make sure that there's one less hurdle, one less piece of red tape that might accidentally prevent them from, you know, operating in a unique nature, whether it, you know, just outdoor patio is going to give them a little bit more flexibility, we should be, you know, doing everything we can to make sure they stay fully operational even when they're partially restricted to the guidelines. So I was just wondering if maybe we can change the wording of that to keep it a little bit more open-ended, and then at the time have it just kind of, you know, come off when it's no longer required.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the only way we could entertain an extension is to actually choose a different deadline date. It can't be assigned to the end of something else. We have to actually insert a timeline, and we can do it for up to 3 years, but there has to be an actual set finish date. I personally think that this approach is the easiest approach because we're not sure how long the pandemic is going to go on, and we can easily revisit this on January 1st, 2022 if we need to.
I was going to
and deal with it then.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was going to suggest that we could just simply you know, if we're in the pandemic in January, we can deal with it well before
Right
patio.
away.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
wondering if we could, Mr. Mayor, maybe we could try to deal with it before January, not wait for the 11th hour for it to expire. So maybe this is something I can make a note and just follow up on before the last meeting in December.
I think this was largely triggered. Well, I know it was largely triggered by the gorgeous weather that we had already in March and stuff like that. So okay, duly noted. Duly noted. Anybody else wishing to weigh in here? Councillor Broderick, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I too agree. This is a great opportunity for local restaurants to, you know, have some bit of recovery. I'm not sure if I missed this in reading through the report, but through you, Mayor, to the director, Mr. Trumbull. How does that impact like noise bylaw? I'm just wondering, you know, with some of the local restaurants are a little bit close to residential homes. So how does that work?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's a very good question. And I'm recalling that at one point there was an exemption from the noise bylaw, but I think that was for loading and unloading of vehicles and stuff like that. So I believe our noise bylaw would apply, but we're on a complaint basis. So if there's a complaint, we'd have to follow up after the fact.
And during operations last year, was there any issues in regards to that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Trombetta, I saw your finger go up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Director Trouble. Does this extend to those restaurants that don't have a patio? So let's say these pizzeria places, are they entitled now to open up a patio outside to put out a couple chairs and let's let's use the little pizzeria where the old IGA was and where the Dollarama is. Are they entitled now to put a couple tables outside now to have dining to get more business into their business? Does this extend to that, or is this just for patios that are already existing or restaurants that already had something already established?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is for anybody that wants to put a patio on their property.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Just wanted that clarification. Thank you, Mr. Trouble.
Okay. Council Rayner for a second time. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Trouble. Let's take Touchdown Willie's, for example. They could make it a lot larger if they went down the protected area that you walk with the sidewalk that's out of the weather. Do you have particular restrictions as to how far they can go in either direction? And, you know, if the neighbor business doesn't mind, I mean, this is a time when we're trying to help everybody as much as we can. And if they get good business and they've only got like 6 tables up front because that's what the frontage of their store is, but the one next door says, I don't mind if they put a couple tables around. Is there anything we can do in that regards for situations where they're located in an opportune place where they could possibly expand? Is there something we could do to help them?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, our provisions allow for exemptions to the zoning bylaw. So if they wanted to extend into the parking area or something like that, we can support that. But I'm assuming they'd run into some issues with respect to mall management and agreements at the mall they'd have to deal with, and we can't override those. So to the extent that we can for zoning, we've assisted, but they might have to work with their neighbors in the mall.
And fire also has to sign off on this. So where possible, you're right, Council Rayner, they can do that. But they're subject to all the other agreements, other things that they have to comply with. But you're right, and that's what we want to do. Ultimately, insofar as they have to deal with the municipal zoning, we're giving them that freedom. All right. I think Councilor Ganand for a second.
No, I was just going to, I had my hand up when you started to speak.
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Mayor,
Yeah.
but no, that's all right. I just wanted to say that the resolution does include subject to the chief building official and the fire chief, right? That it still has to be safe. So they have to work out where they can place it based on the safety for everybody else.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, seeing none further, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. I think that's the end of our
Bylaws.
resolution. So we go to bylaws. Yes. Who had bylaws?
Councilor
Earl.
Jonker.
Councilor Jonker, go ahead, sir.
I do. Yes, move by myself that leave be granted to introduce bylaws number 2021-28 and 2021-29, and that the same shall be considered to have been read a first, second, and third time with one reading, and are hereby adopted, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and affix the corporate seal thereto, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
Thank you, Councilor. Can I get a seconder, please? Councilor Bradrick, thank you. And any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And I call this meeting adjourned at the hour of 6:48.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.